Welcome. The purpose of this training video is to give you an overview about data in your Infusionsoft account. I will be covering how to import new contacts into your Infusionsoft account, how you can modify existing records, and also how to run a duplicate check of your contact records to keep your list nice and clean over time. So let's go ahead and start with talking about importing your list. Now, with your very first import, your Sherpa was very highly involved in helping you get that list prepped and ready for import. So you have this spreadsheet, this template that will help guide you. It really is a guide for you. These are just some of our best practices about organizing your data prior to that import. So you want to keep this handy and keep this in mind as you get your data ready. We always suggest, highly suggest, that your data is as clean as possible and as detailed as possible prior to bringing it into Infusionsoft. It's a lot easier to clean it out here on a spreadsheet than it is once it's in Infusionsoft. Now, in step 2 of this training, I will be showing you how to modify existing data in case you should ever want to make some changes. But again, get that data as clean as possible prior to doing your import. So once you have your data here organized on the spreadsheet, you'll want to make sure that you have custom fields. So if you're adding any custom fields, you want to make sure those have been added in your Infusionsoft account. So this is a really good time for me to show you where those custom fields are and how you can create them. So your custom fields are going to be under Admin, Settings. And right here you'll see your custom fields, and you'll just keep this as Set Up Custom Fields for Contact and click Go. And now you'll be able to see all of the custom fields that you have. And as we customized your account for you, and as we add Infusionsoft campaigns to your account, we will add custom fields for you. And perhaps your Sherpa also added some prior to your very first import. But this is where they all live, and you can change the placement of them. You can move fields from tab to tab. You can use the arrows to move the order of those fields as well. But if you'd like to add a new field, you'll come here to where it says field and click add. Okay, then you'll name your fields, and then you're going to indicate what type of field you want it to be. Is this going to be a date? Is this a drop down? So you want to pick that. Now please note that moving forward, you can always edit the name of the field, but you can't change the type of the field. So I can't go from a text field to a drop down, or from a text field to a date field. So once you set that field up, you can't change the type. So think carefully about what type you would like to have. And again, on this spreadsheet here for your for this import template, we'll indicate for you what we feel is best. These are best practices that we've seen our members use. So for example, for industry, we do suggest using a drop-down format. Okay, and then you list those types of different industries there. So you do only have 100. We have a limit of 100 custom fields in your Infusionsoft account. We have tried to ask Infusionsoft to give us more over the years, but it's just not something that they can change within the software. So we do only get 100. So you can see in here in our training app, we're using up 91. So you can see how many total you're using. As we keep getting closer to 100, we'll look and see which ones we can delete. A lot of them for us are used for testing purposes and so on. But we want to keep that as clean as possible. Now it is possible to move data. So if you want If you want to keep that data, but you no longer feel you need it as a custom field, there could be a way that we could transfer it over to using tags instead. So if you ever have questions about that, email our help desk at infusionsoft@technologymarketingtoolkit.com. And we're happy to help you strategize on how to do that. So don't worry too much about this limit of 100 fields, but just do know that you do have that limit, and think carefully about the custom fields that you're using. Now, what we say at Technology Marketing Toolkit, what we do on our own Infusionsoft account is we think about what data do we want to see very easily for that contact record. So we're always looking for, are our members apprentice level? Are they in accelerators club? Are they producers club? That's the type of information we want in a custom field, so we can open it up and see it very easily. You're going to see as you start to use tags that list of tags applied associated with a contact record can get pretty lengthy. So just keep that in mind, just something to think about. Again, just get started. We can always help you strategize on how to change that later. But this is where your custom fields are located. So now let's go ahead. So before you do your import, you want to make sure that those fields are created. You can also create them on the fly during the import process if you so choose. That's really up to you. It's your preference, but we recommend creating them first and then doing your import. So when it's time for you to do your import, you've got your list prepped and ready to go. Now I do have a document here for you that I'm going through right now. It's this list import for new data. So this is what you would follow for importing that new list. We talked about setting up those custom fields, prepping your list, and now we'll move on here to going through the import process. So Infusionsoft will really guide you through this process, but we do have some screenshots of some things that we think are important for you to note as you do that import. So I'm going to be following that as I do this demo for you. So when you're ready to do your import, that means your spreadsheet is ready to go. I'm going to go here to Admin, Import Data. And then I am importing contacts, so I will click Go. And now it's time for me to find my list. I've got just a very small sample already created. So let's go to open that one up, and I'm going to click Next. And now you're going to see that Infusionsoft just wants me to match those fields. So I'm just going to look carefully. If it's a green arrow, things are looking good. They've found a match for you. If there's a yellow warning, the field is not matched yet. So you'll want to look through that list and find the one that's appropriate. You can also choose not to import. So if I look here, if I don't want to import a field that was on my spreadsheet for some reason, I could make that selection. So you'll want to choose and make sure everything matches up. And then I'm going to go ahead and click on Next. And Infusionsoft just wants me to look through and match some values. This is under person type. I've got customers and some farm list contacts here on my list. So I'll go ahead and click on Next. And then Infusionsoft is going to ask you whether or not you have permission to send marketing emails to these contacts. Now, if you've purchased a list, even if you've cleaned it and qualified it, but you don't have permission to email to that list, please select no. We don't want emails going out to those contacts without having permission. But if I do, they're my current customers, clients, I have permission to market to them. If they have requested a free report, or I've met them at a conference and we've had a conversation, those would be examples of when I can give permission. So I'll click on yes there. And you can always refer to Infusionsoft's handbook about what they have very strict guidelines and regulations about that. So you might want to take some time and review it. And we'll go ahead and click on Next. And Infusionsoft does have a 3 strikes and you're out policy. So if they're seeing a lot of spam complaints come in to your account, they will give you a couple of warnings. But that third time, if you continue to keep getting a lot of spam complaints, they will take away your ability to send out emails. So just be careful. It's not happened to any of our members, but it's something to be aware of. Okay, so moving on, Infusionsoft will ask you to do one final review before you finish the import. Now I'm just going to look through. I always like to look through. Does everything matching up? Does everything look good? I look through the first few and everything is looking good. So then I'm also going to check the box to create a corresponding company record for everyone with that has a company. I'm going to go ahead and check that box because if the company is not already created, I do want that created upon import. Another thing to note while you're doing an import, I'm going to pull up this spreadsheet one more time, is that you want your spelling and syntax to be exactly the same. So that means if I am adding various people from a particular company, I want to make sure that the name of that company is exactly the same for all who are associated with it. Down to capitals and periods, you know, if it's Technology Marketing Toolkit, you know, I want to make sure that everything is capitalized the exact same way and so on. So otherwise, Infusionsoft would create multiple company records. Same thing with something like person type. We want to make sure that we're always using the same conventions with the words that we're using. Okay, so I'm ready. I'm going to go ahead and click on done. And Infusionsoft's going to work on doing that import. And the more contacts you have, the longer it's going to take. I only have a few contacts, so we're all set. What I'd like to do is you can go ahead and click to view the list that you've just imported. You know, you can just see everyone was brought over okay. Infusionsoft will actually tag this group of contacts that you just imported as well. It will date and timestamp them, so you can always come back and look at them later. Another thing that happens is one of our members might do an import, but they realize, you know, I want to start over. I didn't do it right. My data wasn't ready yet. I want to do this over. There is a way to roll back an import, so I want to show you how to do that. So if you go to Admin, Import Data, you'll have this option down here to view your previous import. So I'm going to click here right now. And we can see everyone, all of the different imports, and I can see this one that I just did today. So I can see that these 4 that were just imported. I can view that list. If I'd like to, I can do a rollback. That means that it's going to remove that entire list that was imported, like they never came in at all. So that is an option that you have as you're doing your imports. So that would be, again, I just want to wipe it clean and I want to start it again. So the next step, the next thing about your data that I would like to show you is how to modify your existing contact records. Maybe you're doing some list cleaning. Maybe you started adding a new service and you haven't been keeping track of that in Infusionsoft. So you could export your current list of clients or customers and then modify that data. So you could add the column. Let's say, for example, you weren't tracking whether or not they are using your VoIP services. So you could then pull out those contacts and add a column for VoIP services and indicate yes or no for each of those clients. Then you could bring those clients back in and it will just update all those contact records. So you don't have to go into each and every client within Infusionsoft. A lot easier to do it out there on the spreadsheet. So I want to show you how to do that. So I've got another document here for you called Modifying Existing Contact Records for List Cleaning. So let's talk about this. So these are contacts that are already in Infusionsoft. Maybe they've already been tagged. they're currently in my weekly tips campaign. I don't want to just start over with them. I've got some data, history already associated with those contacts, so a rollback isn't the best scenario. So you can modify, and it's pretty slick. It's a pretty neat trick, something that you can do. So what you're going to do is export that list, and then you're going to make those modifications out on your spreadsheet, and then you're going to bring it back in. So what you're going to do first is do a search. You're going to look for those contacts, and we're going to export them. So I'm going to come here to CRM contacts. What I'm actually going to do, you could come to this general tab if you just wanted to update your customers. You could select customer and then click on search. I'm going to just reset my filters here. I'm actually just going to search for my contact records. So I'm going to look for anyone with my name here. And you can see I'm in here several times. But to do an export, I'm going to check this top box, which will select all on that list. I can even unselect if there are specific ones I don't want to include in that export. This will also be handy as you're doing direct mail campaigns. As you want to export a list, if you're ready, you need to send out the letter to a group of your contacts, you would do it in the same way. This is how we export. So once I select my contacts, I come here to Actions, and I'm going to select Export. And then you can see that Infusionsoft is going to ask me, which fields do I want to export? So in my account, I've got over 90 custom fields. I don't want to include them all. I don't need to. But the one field that I must export is this ID. This is what Infusionsoft is going to look at and match as I bring the list back in to make those updates. So make sure you check the first one. I always do first name, last name, company. And maybe during my list cleaning here, I just want to make sure, I want to go through everyone and update person type. Maybe I didn't do a good job in that initial import, and I want to revisit that. So really that's all that I need. Maybe I want to add address, city, state, something like that. But just only export the fields that you need in order to do that cleanup. And then I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom. And we've got some delivery methods. We want to export it here as a CSV is fine. The delivery method, I like to just view it in my browser. Will do an immediate download for me. You could also select to email that list to someone. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on process and do my export. So again, now I can open up this list. Okay, I can make sure I can see, okay, I've got a couple that I haven't indicated person type. So I'm going to go ahead and make those changes here on the spreadsheet. Again, note that I've got the ID. This is what Infusionsoft will be matching when I bring it back in. Okay, so when you're ready, after you clean up your data, so first we did the export, then you cleaned it up. Now it's time to bring it back into Infusionsoft. So we're going to go to Admin, Data Cleanup. So we're not doing an import. That would create a brand new set of contacts. We don't want to do that. You want to go to Data Cleanup. And you're going to select the first option, which is Modify Existing Records. And it is for contacts, so I'm just going to click on Go. And now I'm going to upload that CSV file that I modified and click Next, and Infusionsoft will kind of go through that process again of matching and looking at the records before they come back in. But again, important thing is make sure you've got that ID when you export and when you bring them back in, so you're not creating duplicate contact records. So that's the process for modifying your data. The last thing we're going to talk about is running a duplicate check. So we do recommend that you run a duplicate check after each import that you do. So if you do purchase a list, we want to make sure that they're not in there multiple times. And then also on a regular basis, think about having someone at your office who's responsible for running this duplicate check. That'll just help, just one way to help keep your list clean. As they're perhaps, signing up for a free report over here, and then they're opting in, sometimes duplicate records are created in Infusionsoft, so you want to make sure you clean that up. So go ahead and get that scheduled. Once a month would be great. And then again, after every import that you do. So let's look at what the process looks like. So you're going to come here and go to Admin, Data Cleanup. And we were just here when we were modifying existing records. Well, let's go to the second choice now. And we're going to check for duplicate contact records. And I'm just going to run through and keep hitting next here. Infusionsoft has the logic already figured out here, but just if you want to review that, you're welcome to do that. For the second one here, I always check all records. It says it may take a long time depending on how many contacts you have in your system. More contacts, the longer it's going to take. Okay, and then we've got some logic here. Again, I just scroll to the bottom and click on Next. And click OK. And now Infusionsoft is running that check. So give it some time to go through that. Because then I want to show you how you can merge contact records together. Okay, so here we are. It has been completed, so I'm going to click here to view the list of contact records that are considered duplicates. And you're going to see your list, so you'll want to start from the top, work your way down. I'm just going to find some tests here that I know I can check here. All right, so let's go here to mine. And what you'll do is you'll click here on Manual Merge. Infusionsoft does not run duplicate checks upon import automatically for you, so definitely something you want to get in the habit of doing because it's just not done automatically. So now what I see here is I've got my I've got the two records. This is the older version of the record, and this is the more recent version of that contact record. What I want to do is put the information in the middle for that new merged contact record. So I can just look through and see, maybe this email, the most recent one, happens to be a Gmail email address, something like that. Or, I know they're a customer. Okay, they're not here on a void. So I can use, or maybe I do. Maybe I can see right here, it's saying customer, but I know this person was on my avoid list, so I would put that here in the middle column. Whatever ends up here in the middle column is what's going to show in that merged contact record. Now, other tags and notes and task history from both records will be also merged into that new record. So once I check everything out here, I'm going to go ahead and merge these two together and return to that search so I can continue working through my list. Okay, so I would come back here and just keep punching through that list one at a time. Some of our members will also ask, they're noticing as they're just searching for a contact that they're seeing multiple records on a one-off basis. Again, you're going to see me here several times through my test records, but as I put in the name, I'm seeing, oh my goodness, she's in here multiple times. So let's take a look and see if I can merge any of these together. So it is possible to do that, and I'd like to show you how now. So as I see that I've got multiple records, I'm going to come back here and do just a manual merge. I don't have to run the full check. I'm going to come back here to CRM contacts, and I'm going to search. and look for records. Now, what I can do if I notice, okay, I've got 2 records here, see her in here twice, and I can only do this 2 at a time. So if I've got more than that, I would have to just keep doing some manual merges. But I'm just gonna go ahead and select 2. I'll come up here to Actions, and there's a selection here to merge duplicate contact records. So again, this should look familiar. We just looked at that during the running the duplicate check. Again, I want to look at this middle column. This is the information that I want in that merged contact record. We can click merge and return to search, or just merge, and if I want to view that contact record. Sometimes this will happen as you're running a direct mail campaign. Let's say that you imported a list and you didn't have any email addresses. And so you sent out that direct mail piece, and in that letter, it directed them to a URL where they could request a free report or a network assessment with you. So they go to your landing page, they fill out that web form with their name and company, and then now their email address. Infusionsoft is going to actually create a new contact record for that person, because now there's an email address. And so we don't want, to have 2 records. So that would be a case where you would want to merge them together. Okay, so in this session, we talked about importing your new data. You want to use that data import template that we provide to you. Don't forget about the option to do a rollback. If you don't like that import, you want a clean start. And you also have the option to modify your existing contact records. So if you, after your import, you decided, I really should have added this column or this information, you can always export it. Make sure you bring that ID out with that list, make your changes, and then bring that list back in. And then finally, don't forget to run your duplicate checks after your imports and on a regular basis to help keep your list clean.